my sister, she's like, yeah, she's like, I didn't know what happened. I just saw you on top of the cage. She's like, I saw you guys standing there, and then I just saw him. I just heard like, and then I saw you on top of the cage, and I was like, what happened? And then she's like, oh, it's over. It's over. It's over. He won. I love fighting, and the only way you really keep fighting is if you keep winning. If you want to make it to the next level, if you want to make a career, you keep winning. So that's why I want to keep winning. For me, I just love fighting. I love competing too. It's hard to hate on me because I'm not taking anything too serious. As far as like, if somebody's like, oh, fuck you, it's like, dude, that doesn't matter. When I got highlight reeled, it was like, whatever, like, you know, you could sit there and be like, man, what the fuck? I just look for the positives in everything now. I've always just had to bounce back, and now I feel like I'm just like, whatever happens, you know, I could literally go through the worst stuff ever, and I'm gonna be okay. As long as I know I'm gonna be okay, just keep going. You put a white boy with some white boy activities, he's coming in first place every time. You could strap a backpack, say there's a parachute in it, I'm jumping off a cliff, I'm not even checking.
Jason Jones, this has been a long time coming, brother.
Usually you got to get a win to get on the pod, so I had to get it done.
Well, you did get a win, and in spectacular fashion.
Yeah, thank you.
But you got a win, and you're here. We're very excited. We knew this episode's going to be freaking hilarious. But let's talk about that last fight, honestly. Let's just get to it. I mean, knockout, went viral. What were your feelings like right after that? Well, we saw you in your post-fight interview, but you tell us what you were feeling.
No, honestly, it's just surreal, I guess. Like, because I came out and like, you know, I was ready. I knew he was ready. Like, I knew he's probably like, especially like striking. When I fought Connor was a super good striker, but I knew he was gonna be like pretty game. You know, I knew he had like a extensive background, been training since he was a kid and stuff. He came out, threw a hard ass leg kick, and I was like, fuck. I was like, dude, this is gonna be a long night. I was like, this is gonna be fucking a grueling fight. And then, but one thing I noticed from his fight before was that he's like loading up a lot. And he kind of dipped his hands when he threw feints. And then I kind of saw it like in the fight, and I was like, oh shit. I was like, I'm gonna just throw a right hand and see what happens. And then I threw it, and like, if you watch the video, I kind of like tense back up because I hit him and I didn't see where he went. So I was like, oh shit, he slipped it. Like, cause it didn't even feel like I hit anything. So I was just like, oh shit. And I looked down and he was like on the ground. And then next thing you know, like before I even like realized I was on top of the cage, I'm looking out in the crowd and I'm like, oh shit. Like,
well, you were doing more than that when you were on the top of the cage, bro.
Yeah. I was getting, well, fucking, you know, people were flipping me off too. So I was like, oh fuck. Like,
yeah, but that was so cool. Cause it really, I mean, was the perfect shot.
Yeah.
You know, and your opponent is no joke, super skilled.
Yeah.
I think you just caught him perfectly.
Yeah. It was like straight through. It was so weird because like, I talked to my teammate / coach Arnold like the week before, and he was saying like, dude, when you really hit somebody and you really put them out, you don't feel it.
Yeah. That's what he used to tell me when he was training. Like the perfect punch, it's not going to hurt your hand. It's not going to do any of that, right?
I didn't think I hit him. I thought I missed him.
I
thought I slid over his head or something because I didn't feel it. I just heard it.
Well, what I think is even cooler, because I talked to you the day after your fight, and you're like, it's crazy, Kris. I dreamt that finish, right?
I usually have pretty crazy dreams, like vivid dreams. And I don't know if it's because I have like an active like ADHD mind or what it is. Because sometimes I'll have like dreams where I wake up and I'm like, oh, it's never gonna happen. That's not real at all.
What kind of dream?
Just the dumbest things you could ever imagine. Like me walking outside of my house and like there's like a dragon, and then I'm like fighting dragons or doing whatever. Just like I'll have like crazy nightmares, and then the next night I'll have like a weird dream, and then I'll have like a dream where it's like me and all my family, and then I'll have like a fight dream. But I think just because like that week, you know, you're really like visualizing everything. I think thinking about it so much, I just like envisioned it so much that I just dreamt it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was a premonition or it was more in my mind like thinking about it, but exactly how like I looked down and I saw him like looking up, but he's like looking past me. And then I was like, oh shit. And then before, like it was like, if I could go back, I would have held the extra shot because I think I woke him up with the follow-up shot.
Yeah.
But it hit the ground. I was like, oh shit, I keep going. Like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you never really know, right?
Yeah,
like,
it's really instinct.
Well, that's why I think Kate said that night, I almost thought it was a quick finish. I did. I thought, well, it was pretty quick. But then when I rewatched it, no. super clean. You did wait. He was out. You woke him back up with that second
Well,
shot.
it's like my sister, she's like, yeah, she's like, I didn't know what happened. I just saw you on top of the cage. She's like, I saw you guys standing there, and then I just saw him. I just heard like, and then I saw you on top of the cage, and I was like, what happened? And then she's like, oh, it's over. It's over. It's over. He won.
He's on top of the cage. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, especially used to like being like, like, you know?
Yeah, well, let's talk about that a little bit. I think on another episode, Ryan talked about you, right? He said that Jason Jones is the best 0-3 fighter kind of out there. How did it really feel?
Not 0-3 anymore, though.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, this was previously, right?
Yes.
How good did it really feel to get victorious? And again, fighting somebody that's, a very, competitive opponent.
Yeah, I think what felt good is not necessarily like me winning finally, like because I always knew like, oh, like I knew my level, and I knew that I was not like, I'm not out here getting just like fucking just creamed basically.
That's
like,
for sure.
Well,
I'm having tough competitive
Right,
fights,
Ryan's
or I'm
not
getting
matching you
caught.
up against cans.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
you're honestly fighting, really tough guys.
Yeah, my resume is tougher than a lot of people. A lot of people start off 2-0, 3-0 against like whoever, So for me, it was never a question. It was more so like putting it together, like having better fight IQ, just doing all that stuff, like putting everything together, and then also learning how to relax in there. Like my second fight with Gregor, it was like I went out there because my first fight, like you have a vision of how like everything's gonna go.
Yeah.
And then you go out there and you're like, shit the bed, like you get hit real
Bro,
quick.
you did
and you're
not
like,
shit the bed the first. That first fight was so
No, that
entertaining
fight,
against
it was
Conor.
fight of the night, but I guess I would ask, like, I think UNF brings a pretty grand show, at least for an amateur making their debut.
Yeah.
Did that play any fact in your first fight?
I think my mindset going into it played a factor, and like he did drop me in the first like 25 seconds, and then like that didn't make me like adrenaline dump or anything. But then like I got up and I took a shot on him, and he's like, "You really gonna hold me like a bitch?" And I was like, "Ugh." And then I just like, because my game plan was not at all to go out there and make it a scrap. It was to just like, all right, sit there, find my takedowns, and then because at that time I really wasn't comfortable with my striking yet. And it's funny now how things change,
Yeah, I mean, but you also dropped him in that fight too.
Yeah.
That was a good back
That
and
was
forth.
such a good back and forth. But I really think, when you came back and you fought Gregor, I saw a different maturity level from you. I thought you fought a really great fight. I thought you were winning that fight, and you just got caught.
That was for sure.
I don't want to take anything away from Gregor, right? So whoever gets their hand raised at the end, that's the winner. But I really felt you looked really good. You were really strategic in that fight.
Yeah, I felt good. Like, especially came out, like, pop, pop, pop. And then like, that was a fight where everybody in the crowd like was rooting for me because either I knew them some way or they knew of me because it was local too.
Yeah.
And then, no, it was like, it's just so weird. It's like, if you ever see Kamaru Usman talk about when Leon Edwards had kicked him, about how he's just like in the ring, and then next thing you know, he's backstage. I was on the stool going into the third, and Georgie's like, you need to finish or you need to dominate this round in order to win. And I was like,
Really?
yeah.
Because I thought you were completely dominating that.
I think he was just like encouraging me.
got it.
Yeah.
I think that's their like mindset. The guys.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not a coach. I'm not an MMA expert.
No, but
I am a fan.
You're right.
Honestly, I'm a fan.
If you guys had a different mindset, you guys say, "Hey, take the round off, just keep him
Yeah,
against
but
the cage."
Georgie's never going to tell a fighter
Yeah,
that.
no.
And that's honestly, as an amateur, you don't want to do that either. I think you want to get the right experience. But yeah, so was it that same thing for you? Is like, you got hit with that shot and then you didn't remember till you got in the locker room, or what?
Well, yeah, freaking, I'm like getting off the stool for the third, and I'm like, dude, I'm gonna knock him out. Like, this is my time. I'm like, I almost felt like looking out to the crowd, like, ah. And then next thing you know, I'm like,
What's
I'm
going
like,
on?
I'm like, where am I? I'm like, I won? And then my sister's like, you got knocked out. And I was like, she said the first thing I said, I was like, is it a highlight? And then she showed me, and I was like,
That's a highlight.
and I was like, I'm not gonna lie, it's clean. It's clean. It's clean. Sick. Just sucks that I was on the end of it.
Yeah.
But really, like a lot of people were like, bro, like, like, are you done? Are you done? Like, blah, blah. Especially like when I first started fighting, I was like, if I ever get knocked out cold, I'm done. I just woke up the next day and I was like, how can that never happen to me again? And that was my kind of mindset I took. And then I took a couple months off the gym too, just to like make sure that I'm not getting CTE'd out for real.
Yeah.
But then when I came back, it was all about like just fixing the mistakes, and then just discipline and training and intention and training. And I think I really like plugged a lot of those defensive holes.
You talk about intention in training. What do you mean by that?
Like, if you go in and train and you just go through the motions and like say like you're hitting pads and and once you start getting tired, you start dropping your hands or you start making those mistakes. Those play out in the fight, because how you train really is how you fight.
Yep.
Like you can't just like, there is a thing as like performing to a certain level when you fight, but like the things you do and the habits you make are formed in the gym. You know, those are going to show in the fight. So if you aren't taking care of like little holes that you have, then you're gonna falter.
Well, I think that's great, kind of where you train and who you train with too,
Yeah.
right? They're not going to take it easy on you.
Yeah, especially with Georgie. And Georgie has so much experience in the fight game too, that like he knows exactly what you should do, what you need to do. He knows how to push you to get you ready for like, because I feel ready like to fight a pro fight. I don't feel like I'm preparing for amateur fights, because if you're only preparing for 6 minutes, like, or 9 minutes, like that's really not a long time.
Yeah.
Like when I fought Diego, I was like, oh shit. I was like, it's already over. Like I wasn't, it was like, I think also I was so much more calm in there too, that like that lack of adrenaline too. Like that was a high paced fight and I didn't really feel like.
I want to talk about that fight too, because I thought you looked really good in that fight. I mean, you faced a really good wrestler who got his takedowns, but you got up for most of them pretty quickly, peppered him on the feet, chose your shots very, very good. That was a really close fight too, you know?
Yeah, that night was full of a few fights that I don't know,
Every night though, no? Every fight card, there's just a couple.
Again,
You're like,
I keep going back, I'm a fan. I'm not a ref, I'm not a judge, I'm not an MMA expert, I'm a fan.
Yeah, for me, it's like I could have my opinion on like whether or not I thought I won or whatever, but I had to accept it. And then also like me and Diego are cool. Like,
he's an interesting guy.
He is an interesting guy.
Yeah.
He's telling me he's actually going to come out next weekend. He has like some, he has to help his dad with something, but he's coming to Riverside. So I was like, oh, let's train. Because he is
to the hometown.
Yeah, he is a really good grappler. So like to train with him would be good.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. So I guess I want to talk, because I think in the fight game, there's some guys that maybe do go on a skid and they quit or whatever it may be. Did you ever, I guess, on that 0-3 skid, did you ever think about quitting, or how did you like maybe battle those demons you were facing as far as not getting a win? Because right after your fight, Isaac Enriquez comes up to me so passionate. He's like, he fucking deserved that. I'm like, he did fucking deserve that, you know?
Yeah.
Well, it's like, dude, it's like, because like there's been a lot of people like, whether it's behind closed doors or publicly, like you suck, like you're just going to get knocked out again. Trolls. Yeah, just saying whatever. Or there's even like, people that are like, they kind of look at you a certain kind of way when, you say like, oh, haven't won, but this and that, I really don't care. Like,
yeah, but are those the people that are getting in the cage, or are these just fucking
that's
keyboard warriors?
Yeah,
right?
that's what I say. I mean, I'm sure there's like UNF guys that hate on me, but more so that's like more like
I don't really think so. I really think, to be honest with you, I've never heard anybody say anything negative about you. They all really like you and your vibe. But in all seriousness, you're one of those guys that I think is super entertaining that most people like. You're just there to get the job done.
Yeah, I think also like it's hard to hate on me because I'm not taking anything too serious. Yeah. As far as like, if somebody's like, oh, fuck you, it's like, dude, that doesn't matter. You embrace it. And
what I love about you, sorry, we're jumping all over this, but what I love about you the last fight, the music that you came out to.
Yeah. Well,
right? And you really just embraced the moment, that dance. But how did that feel? Because really your last fight, quote unquote, you're in enemy territory, right? Because heavy Armenian crowd, you were fighting on Armenian. But, in Riverside, that was your hometown and you were the hometown hero. How does it feel? What's the difference there?
I knew. So like I told my dad, I was like, yeah, I got an opponent. I was like, this is who I'm going to fight. He's like, who is he? My dad gets all like invested. He's like, who is this
Sounds
guy?
like me, bro.
And I'm like, listen, because after I got knocked out by Gregor, my dad like flipped shit.
Yeah, I remember seeing him at the event.
He was.
We had to hold him back for a second because we had with doctors.
So I told my dad, I go, listen, if anything bad happens, there's going to be about 800 Armenians out there. So let's just keep it chill on the night, so that way we don't get beaten up after.
But those fans, even though you knocked your opponent out, you jumped up on the cage. You had your moment, and then I think your speech, you really won.
Even after the middle finger,
whole crowd.
After the middle finger, after that speech, you won everyone's hearts back.
Well, I came out to that song, and like I obviously don't know any Armenian songs, but Georgie's Armenian. He's like, but
you're okay. Talking to George, our partner George is Armenian. He says you're honorary Armenian because you train under George.
Yeah,
so you could claim it.
Yeah, for me, it's like I'm not trying to like coming out to that song. I'm not trying to disrespect any Armenian people. If anything, it's more like me like embracing their
Respect for the
culture
moment,
and then just kind
yeah.
of like hey, like, you know, I already know what I'm going into.
Yeah.
But I came out there and then like for me, it's like I didn't plan to go out there and like dance and do all that. But for
you
me,
did.
like I like to have fun. Like when I warm up, I like to dance. Like I like backstage, like I'll just hit pads and then I'm like dancing, mainly because I want to get loose.
Yeah.
But like I remember just like being back there and I'm like, da-da-da. And like Isaac's in there fighting, so I don't have any of my corner back there. So I'm just back there like, da-da-da, like just dancing around like la-di-da-di-da. And people, I feel like, I don't know, like maybe that's just in my head, but I feel like people were looking at me like, dude, what the hell is going on with this guy? And especially I got the fucking crazy ass
Your
haircut.
skullet?
Yeah.
Is that what? Who was calling it the skullet?
I think Todd Kennedy.
Todd Kennedy called it the skullet.
I call it the north side mullet. So if you look at a south side fade, they'll fade the back into the front.
Okay.
But I went to my barber and I was like, bro, just fade the whole top inside of my head back into like a mullet. And he was like, and the whole barbershop was like, yeah, dude, they're all around me the whole time. Like it for something so crazy, it was done in the best it could.
Yeah.
So I honestly really liked it, but my girlfriend was not a fan.
Not happy.
I thought you rocked the look, to be fair.
I've had a mullet several times and all different. I've had like an old school mullet down to my shoulders. Like I've had a bunch of different haircuts. But my thing is like, I'm like, if I get a haircut that's crazy and I do something crazy, it's just gonna make it that more.
Well, you did something crazy, bro. That and at one point, you know, Gregor, you know, KN, you're kind of a highlight, and now
I got more likes now. So
that's right. Now you
doesn't count on my record.
Yeah, but how does that feel? One day, you know, you're the then you're making the highlight. Like
yeah, you gotta understand there's both sides to it, you know. So it's like when I got highlight reeled, it was like whatever. Like, you know, you could sit there and be like, man, what the fuck? But for me, I'm like, you know, let him have his moment. Like it was clean, it was sick, and I could say I got caught, but at the same time I also did make some mistakes. So really it's like he earned it, he can have his highlight and he deserves it, you know. Yeah. That's kind of like the way I have to think about it because, you know, I got a highlight and I'm going to use that to leverage myself, and it's not anything disrespectful, it's just that it's a game we play, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of crazy though, because some guys throughout their whole career, rising star or pro, don't even get a finish like that, like a clean knockout like that. So it was a good way to bounce back and get that you know, that W.
Yeah, that's why it's like you know, there's some people, you know, like they might like be like, oh man, like nah, like maybe look at me a certain way or maybe talk about me behind closed doors or even publicly say this and that, I'm the best, this and that. But I'm like, dude, like I feel like I have something there that I already knew I had. I just had to show it. That is like a standout factor. And that's why I was like, dude, I already know I have a good personality. I already know I'm witty, I'm quick,
bro,
I'm funny.
You're a good fucking fighter, no matter what anyone says or a record says.
Yeah,
but we've always like talked about that. So
it drives me fucking nuts. Yeah. It really drives me nuts because those that are likely talking are guys that have never gotten in there with a Connor Lesty, right?
Yeah.
You know, or faced a guy like Diego or Gregor. Or,
yeah.
You know,
and even those like it's just a thing of like. I'm not gonna sit here and say Jason's the best fighter in the world, but I will say there's some 3-0 Emmys that Jason's gonna beat, or you know what I mean? It's a good fight, but you just people optically like to hate when something may go wrong and whatnot. And this is also the fight game where anything could fucking happen.
But I think too, man, if you're really gonna make this a career and you want to take it somewhere, you're on the right path because the adversity that you face, the trials, the tribulations, you're prepared. You're preparing yourself for that.
Yeah, for me, it's like I enjoy the fact that I started off 0-3 because I feel like
now you do.
I have humility. Now I enjoy it. But like it's prepared me for like you know, like definitive humility.
Yeah.
Like totally the humility I have and like the lack of ego that I have. Like for me, it's like, hey, dude, like there's some dudes who are undefeated, maybe, or maybe they're 1-0 or 2-0. Man, like you know, some guys like really turn into hot shit when they win 2-3 fights. And then, you know, I know a lot of people who lose one fight and you never see them again.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, that's like that's letting your ego control like what you actually like, or maybe you didn't actually like it. You just like the buzz or you like the winning. For me, it's like gambling, you know, it's like you could prepare the best you can and you could study the most strategy. You could learn how to count cards. But at the end of the day, like sometimes the dealer's going to win, you know?
Right. I think what really defines people is what they do in their lowest moments, not their highest moments.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So really the challenges are, if you're losing, things aren't going your way, how do you come back from that? Really, it defines what kind of person are you really?
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. For me, like fighting is probably like the least, I don't know how to word this. Fighting is like the least like serious thing to me. As far as like training and everything, it is the most serious. Like it's all I really do.
Yeah.
But as far as like being like, dude, I lost, it's on Instagram, or I did this or that, like it really doesn't mean anything to me. The only thing it means is more like a brand building, and then also like me wanting to prove, like me wanting to just, I want to win because I love fighting, and the only way you really keep fighting is if you keep winning. If you want to make it to the next level, if you want to make a career, you keep winning. So that's why I want to keep winning. For me, I just love fighting. I love competing too.
Yeah. Well, when did you fall in love with fighting?
Probably not till after the Gregor fight, maybe.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what I would say. I've been watching UFC since I was like 6 years old. Like I remember watching Chuck Liddell versus Tito Ortiz when I was like a child.
Were you getting into fights as a little kid?
I grew up like especially like when I was younger, like I moved to Reno Valley, and I was really like one of the only like white kids, So for me, it's like proving yourself, and it's like I got in a lot of like little like nothing major, like, but all the time we'd go bodies in the bathroom, and there was a couple times where it was like, maybe you get into little fights or you like get into little scraps, but there were some bigger fights and some like, but once you got into high school and stuff, like people were killing each other already.
Oh shit!
So I was like, ooh, like
let me take a step back from these altercations.
So like, cause like it was honestly like there was some people that like my friends got into a fight with in high school, and I remember like, dude, like my friend got jumped, and I remember he got jumped by these guys that were like 25 years old, and we're like 17, and they ended up getting killed like a couple months later. And I remember being like, fuck, dude, like this is
life is serious.
Yeah, especially I grew up in Reno Valley, so. It's kind of a weird place, kind of like maybe like a Lancaster, where it's like, you see these big houses and you see all this stuff, but you really live next to like some people that are like from LA, that are like gangbangers that move down, and then there's their own set of gangs. So I went to school with a lot of gangbangers and stuff. So for me, like I always knew how serious it could be if you get into a fight with somebody, like how quickly somebody could stab you, kill you, or you get jumped, you get stomped out. For me, I was like, I'm not really interested in that. I was like, yeah. But and then when I joined the wrestling team, I fell in love with grappling, and then I started jiu-jitsu and all that stuff. So for me, it was like, I always loved like that stuff. But for fighting, like getting in the cage, as far as that, the first two fights, I was like, I was just like kind of not terrified, but I was definitely scared. And now I'm just like, dude, I'm just gonna have fun. Like, if I have fun, that's when I do the best, and that's when I perform the best, because I just can rely on my training, and that takes the fear away. So
nice. So how did you get connected with Georgie and OG Training Center?
So I started training jiu-jitsu at 10th Planet Riverside in like 2021, I guess. I started at like 2020, then the pandemic hit, and then I kind of came back around 2021. So I was doing jiu-jitsu. I already had wrestling background. So for me, I was just, grappling here and there. And then Isaac Enriquez started going there.
My guy.
Because OG and my 10th Planet are not that far from each other, like 2 miles away. So he's like, yeah, dude, I'm at this place. And like, the coach he's from Russia. He's a world champion in MMA. He's got like 50 professional fights. I was like, really? I was like, that's crazy. And then he was training there for a little bit. Then I was like, dude, I'm gonna drop in. I dropped in, I took one class, and I was like, whoa. I was like, I haven't been worked like this in a long, maybe ever. And it was just like a simple little wrestling class. And I was like, fuck. And I was already like training striking and stuff. And I was already kind of like getting into it. And I kind of had the idea that I wanted to fight MMA. And then I kind of just like weighed my options and thought about, hey, can I swing another gym membership? And I was like, dude, I should just come here. And if I want to fight, I'm going to trust this person because this is the most qualified person I know.
Well, you can't learn from somebody better than Georgie, in my opinion.
Yeah. So it's like I came in, and then it was like, I think I was only there like 6 or 7 months. And then I had my first fight. So really, it's barely coming up on me 2 years there. But I've put in so much work there, and Georgie puts in so much work with us, like in and out of the gym, that it's like, I feel like I've been there my whole life almost, But really, it was more so I came there and I saw the work that we do. And I saw how hard he pushes people, how hard we train, and how like how much he like cares about what he's teaching and what he's showing, and and the effort that we put in, that I was like, dude, it's a no-brainer for me. Like, this is somebody who I could, let alone like be a good coach, but also a good role model, you know?
Yeah, well, let's talk about your gym real quick and the guys you're training with, coached by. Like, when we first started working with you guys, like Isaac, taking a title fight on one day's notice,
Yeah, that was crazy.
And getting a win, you fighting whoever it may be. Israel Salazar is a freaking beast. Will fight whoever too. His 2 fights with Pargev, right? Like the one that gave Pargev a run for his money, they're 1-1. So as soon as we start working with you guys are just doing all this stuff. Me and him just keep talking. Like, we love these guys. Like, what are they drinking in the water over there? Like, what's going on?
Well, it's like you got to think, like, when Georgie started fighting too, like, it was like, hey, like, you come to the gym and your coach is like, hey, you got to fight next weekend, professional fight. Like, you're just gonna fight this guy next weekend. That's how his career started. The first couple of years of his career, you know, he's like just going to the gym and it's just, hey man, you're fighting this guy. He's like, oh, okay, all right, I'll be there.
Sure.
Yeah. We've heard some of these stories.
Just
right?
tell me what time. Yeah.
Thor's first fight was in a parking lot in Costa Rica. Marcos's was at some restaurant bar. Like, it's just crazy.
Yeah, it's like, because the most terrifying thing ever was like telling him that I wanted to fight. I just took so much like nerves to build up, and I didn't even tell him in person. I just like got home from training and texted him. Like, I want to get.
What do you think you're terrified about? Like the fact that once you tell him you're gonna fight, you have to fight, or
yeah, just having a fight in general. You know,
it's gonna become real once you say this.
Yeah, it's real. You know, like because like doing jujitsu, even if you do like combat jujitsu, it is, you know, it's not the same as getting in the cage having a fight. And I already knew what Up Next was about, and I already knew that was like where he would try and get me matched up. So I was like, you know, I know there's a lot of people and this is real. This is serious. This is like an actual fight. Am I ready? This, and that. Like all these thoughts go through your head. But then like Isaac had already had his first fight when I asked. And then he's like, I think I asked after he fought Edrin maybe. So like, because that fight happened and I was like, what the?
Isaac's a serial killer if you ask me.
Yeah, I was like, dude, this is crazy, but this is also so real. But I was like, dude, if Isaac can do it, like I could do it. Like that's my main training partner, you know, like we've trained together every day for like the past couple of years. So for me, I was like, yeah, you know, like I don't want to be the guy that's just here training hard every day and not fighting. Cause for me, like I have to look forward to something. So I want to compete. Yeah. For me, like I always want to push myself and try, you know?
I love it. Hey, one thing, after you won your last fight, you're on the mic, you're like, you know, people think I suck. I don't suck.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. I was just like, dude, I'm gonna just let my raw emotion just flow, I guess. Especially after I fought Diego, you know, like literally that Monday I got home from work and I like looked at my phone and my one of my like really closest friends like that I ever had, like I checked his mom's, or I just was watching my stories and his mom posted a picture of him and it was like some like crazy music and I was like, huh. And then I ended up finding out that one of my closest friends passed away that Monday. Wow. So for me, I really wanted to win that fight and I really wanted that speech. Yeah. Cause like, if I could shine a light on my friend real quick too, it's like,
100%.
He like, it was like such an example for me. Like he never, like he wrestled a little bit in high school. That was it. But he didn't train or fight or anything. He was in the Army, but he actually had like gone through so much adversity that like, for me, like I always looked to him as like my example of like, hey, I'm just fighting. Like, it's not really that big of a deal. Like, after all he went through, he got into a motorcycle accident in like 2020. He ended up losing his leg. He was in the hospital for weeks. He tore had holes in both of his lungs. Wow. He broke his ribs. He broke his whole back. And for him, he bounced back and he went back to active duty in the military.
Are you shitting me?
Yeah, after losing his leg.
Nuts.
Wow. Yeah, so he spent like a year and a half of recovery, literally just to get back into the military. And for him, it's like, dude, like I always looked to him and I always thought about him and like everything that he went through. And for me, it's like, after I lost him, I was like, fuck, dude, I was like, I could, and he also had the same sense of humor as me. Yeah. So for me, I was like, dude, I can just like tell my coach like, hey, dude, this is hard. Like I'm struggling right now. Or I can just put him on my shoulder and be like, hey bro, like me, you, and our 3.5 legs, we're going to go after this. And that's basically what I did. And I felt like I did great in that fight. And I felt like it could have went either way. But like, for me, it was like, dude, I wanted that speech because I just wanted to like shout him out. You know, I just wanted to like let people know. That's like the main thing. I just wanted to like spread the word about him. So when I finally got that win, there was so much emotion. I like couldn't even put together what to say. And I'm just like, and like, but I think it's because I walked out and I saw people laughing at me because I'm dancing to the song and I'm and like It's like, yeah, what now? Like,
Yeah.
you guys
I don't
think I
think they're
suck?
laughing at you. I think they're laughing with you.
Yeah, that's what I
because
think so
the way
too.
you sort of came out was like super entertaining.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But kind of going back to your friend, like, I mean, so, you know, we all have to kind of get over our inner bitch when you have a guy like this who goes through so much adversity, he pushes through to get back on active duty. So I kind of laugh at some of the shit that I bitch and complain about, you know what I mean? Which is just nonsense.
Yeah, I feel like I've over the past like year and a half, I've done so much like work on my mindset, really. Like, because like I used to just be like, if something didn't go my way, especially like after my first fight, like, I was like, oh, like I was just such a bitch about it. And I was really self-deprecating and self-loathing.
Yep.
And now
it's easy to do, bro.
Now I'm like, whatever's in and whatever emotion goes in is also an emotion that goes out. So one day I could be happy, one day I could be sad, but as long as I like understand my overall trajectory is to be happy, like I'm always going to be happy. And I'm always going to enjoy everything. And then also like gratitude, gratefulness, like, because like, for me, it's like losing my friend. Like I just have to be grateful for the memories I have with him and to know somebody that like, you know, was like him.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, I just look for the positives in everything now. And that's like, I feel like that's boosted me so much, and it's boosted everything from like my skills to like life to just my overall, like everything, how I'm doing. Like I've really gone through a ton of stuff, and like, I've always just had to bounce back. And now I feel like I'm just like, whatever happens, you know, I could literally go through the worst stuff ever and I'm going to be okay. As long as I know I'm going to be okay, just keep going.
Well, what's like the biggest adversity you faced, whatever you're cool with talking about? You say you went through a lot of stuff. Is there any story you want to share about some adversity you faced and you bounced back from?
I mean, mainly like, I don't know. I've struggled a lot, like, mainly with loss in life. Like I've lost a lot of family members, like, you know, and like one of like the craziest, like, I don't know. Let's just say I've lost a lot of people in my life. Like my aunt just passed away from cancer recently.
Sorry.
You know,
Fuck cancer,
I
by
lost,
the way.
yeah, fuck cancer.
Yeah.
You know, I lost like 2 of my uncles. Like I've lost a considerable amount of family for me not to have already a lot of family. But I guess like adversity, like I've witnessed so much in my short life already, whether it was like from where I grew up, like knowing people who got into a lot of trouble, or seeing like people shoot at each other, like when you're just a teenager. But also like right after school, I became an EMT and I was 18 years old working 911 in my community.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, I really struggled a lot with that too. Like coming into that, working in that field. Like when I first started, like I almost like lost my job right away, fresh out of school, because I was just so like terrified of the work.
I could only imagine, bro.
Because
honestly,
it's terrifying, you know, like if you're 18 years old and you're driving lights and sirens, and you're 18 years old, you're going into somebody's house and they're dying. You're going into like shootings, you're going into major car wrecks, stuff like that. So for me, that was like adversity. And especially like I had lost my uncle too in like 2019, I think it was, 2019. And like I lost my uncle to a drug overdose, and like, you know, I had to go back to work, and like the next day I had to Narcan somebody back to life. And for me, it was like, dude, I literally had to go home.
Was your uncle's overdose like a fentanyl thing, or?
Yeah. Basically he got like a cut pill. And then
and again, I don't want to, so that to me, like I fucking hate this issue because, you know, these cartels and all these people, you know, making these counterfeit pills and lacing them with fentanyl. A lot of people don't know that fentanyl's in these fucking pills, and they end up, in my opinion, being poisoned, not even an overdose, bro. Like it's fucking nuts.
It's crazy because like, so like, right around the time I fought Connor, I was trying to get into the sheriff's department as a coroner deputy. It was like a logical transition, you know, like, and I'm from being like an EMT to transitioning into that. And it was also like a way into like a higher paying job and a more like a, I guess, career that was more defined for something that I ultimately wanted to do.
Yeah.
But like, I talked to them too, especially I was like, so like how much have overdose deaths changed, and how much have they changed the department? And they're like, dude, we have to do rapid expansion because our overdose deaths have more than quadrupled.
Yeah, but see, everybody calls these overdoses too. And this is like, because I do a lot of work in this space, you know what I mean? And so I've talked to parents who have lost kids to this, right? And that's one of their main things. Like an overdose is somebody taking that shit knowingly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if somebody isn't agreeing to take something, you know, laced with fentanyl, that's a fucking poisoning.
Yeah, it's murder.
It is murder, bro.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is Riverside County, Mike Heston, who's a DA out there, actually prosecuted the first person for murder.
Yeah, for me, it's like, it's fucked up because like a lot of people I went to school with have already passed away from fentanyl, and it's like it's terrifying. Like I've literally like gone to people that I went to high school with's house and Narcan them back, and I'm like, dude, like what's going on? And they're like, dude, I didn't take a opioid, or I didn't do this.
Well, they didn't knowingly do it, right? But
Yeah.
I think that's also just the scum of the earth that kind of makes these things and subjects, people to this. Just, I don't know, man. As you can tell, I'm kind of passionate about that. I just feel like there's so many deaths out there that could have been avoided. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like, for me, it's like, especially like, I have like my shticks about like the Hennessy and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, like I am pretty like vehemently, I think that's the right word, sober. Like I do like enjoy a drink from now on, like time and time again, like when it's worth it, or when it's like rewardable. But for the most part, like for me, I'm like so anti-pill, so anti-drug.
Yeah.
Like obviously, like I believe in like using like medical marijuana, and I know a lot of people that it helps with. But at the same time, I don't smoke weed. Like I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of like taking even like an ibuprofen. Like for me, like I've been prescribed Norcos for like surgeries I've had, and I just don't even end up taking them because I'm just like, this is like such a slippery slope. Like I don't want to take this, end up down the wrong path, and the next thing you know, I get a cut pill and I die.
Yeah.
Like,
I think that's why it's so important that people, can't be taking, pills from the street. I mean, because nothing is safe. I mean, even cocaine is laced with fentanyl nowadays. So it's just, I don't know. Back in my day, you could do certain things and you didn't have that kind of risk. Right now. So
it's like back in the day, if you knew somebody that overdosed, you're like, oh shit, well, they must have been down a deep road if they're shooting up heroin.
Yep.
That was pretty much the only way you OD'd back in the day. You're shooting up heroin, or you like did too much meth and your heart explodes.
Yeah.
But now it's like, dude, you literally know, like,
take whatever pill.
Frat kids that are dying, and it's like, why are they dying? Like why are like high school kids dying of fentanyl? Like that doesn't make any sense, really.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't happen. It almost feels like end of times-ish, almost like where you're like this is crazy. Like people are literally just dropping like flies, and it's people that aren't addicts or don't have problems.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a political person, but one thing I do like about Trump and kind of what he's doing is closing down the border in the sense of the trafficking of fentanyl coming into our country. It's a really serious issue. I mean, it's the #1 killer of Americans, bro.
Yeah. For me, it's like, I I'm very closely tied in with like a lot of my friends are Mexican. My girlfriend is Hispanic. So it's like, for me, it's like a lot of people, like, they really struggle with the whole idea of like closing the borders and stuff. And for me, it's like, I believe if you're a good, hardworking person, you should be allowed to come to America.
Sure. 100%.
But also at the same time, I'm like, dude, however we can solve this crisis, like it should be addressed.
Yeah.
Because like it's ridiculous. And I don't think anybody should have to deal with losing somebody to something like that, because when it happens, it's like a undescribable pain, because it doesn't feel fair.
Yeah. And when I talked about like shutting the border, I meant only towards the trafficking of fentanyl.
Definitely.
Because, our family is a family of immigrants too.
Yeah.
Like, I'm white, but my wife is Israeli. Like her family immigrated here. So I'm all about bringing hardworking, great people to this country.
Yeah. No, me too, for sure.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know. It really is crazy. It's just, as I hope it gets solved, and I hope that like, maybe after like my fighting career, because it's kind of like, for me right now, it's like that was the path I was kind of heading down, and I was kind of just fighting for fun.
Yeah.
But now it's like, seems like a viable option that I feel like I want to pursue and try and make a career out of.
Yeah.
And it's like, me and Georgie always talk about backup plans. It's like, if it doesn't work out, or say like I get injured tomorrow and I can never fight again, knock on wood, I need to have a backup plan. And I always feel like I can fall back on like things that I've already done, whether it's like going back to like working in the 911 field, like going into law enforcement. Like I kind of just ultimately want to like pursue a career where I can help people.
Yeah.
And I feel like I also like the excitement of 911.
Oh, I don't know if a lot of people know that Georgie's law enforcement at this point, which is, I think, really cool, making that transition from pro MMA fighter, gym owner, and now he's a deputy sheriff, right?
Yeah, and he really does love it. The one thing that I really like admire is that he's passionate about being a good police officer.
Yeah.
Like he's not like out there like, oh man, I'm just like continuing my fight career and fucking people up. Like for him, it's like, how can I teach cops to use jujitsu to be applicable in real life situations to where they're not relying on a gun? how can I promote health and wellness in the law enforcement community, and how can I be the best police officer I can be? And for me, I'm like, that's the people we need.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need fat cops.
No.
Like, no disrespect to fat cops if they're trying to change, but at the same time, like, if you're a cop and you can't run 500 yards without passing out and nearly dying, like, you're endangering our community.
I'm a big supporter, as you know, of the law enforcement community, but I couldn't agree with you more. Yeah. We need the special people being law enforcement officers, right? We do need those people that have a passion, you know, for service. It shouldn't just people shouldn't be, you know, becoming cops just because, it's good pay and it's benefits, right? Definitely. And I think, unfortunately, there's a lot of folks like that nowadays. We need the guys that are purpose driven. Yeah.
It's like, and if you're going to pursue a purpose and you're going to pursue something that's like, you're looking for like fulfillment and a rewarding profession, that really is like a route, especially if you're a type A personality and you're somebody like a fighter who's just like you're looking for the hardest possible task. That really is like one of the hardest jobs you can have.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too. I think, especially in today's age with social media and everyone calling cops, you know, racist or whatever it may be, right? Yeah. There's so much scrutiny towards cops where I think some people here are just like, maybe they want to help and they want that job, but it's just, maybe it's just not worth it to them anymore with all the scrutiny that cops get.
Well, it cracks me up, all these haters, right? What happens second shit goes down in their life? What do? Please come help me, officer. You know, they're shitting on them the day before. Now all of a sudden they're turning to them to help them out.
Yeah. No, it's actually a nuts thing. I have so much respect for law enforcement. I really respect the ones, you know, that care and want to do a great job. I'm sure there's some bad cops, but I think the way people paint cops, it's like, no, you should respect them because they are the ones that you're going to call and they are the ones that are going to come and help. So that one's just
so let's shift gears. Like during your interview, I think, was it in the cage or maybe with Sherelle? I can't remember which one, but you called out, you wanted a sponsorship.
Yeah. So I've been reaching out to the people over at Hennessy US.
Well, Dad, why don't you give this to Mr. Jason Jones? That's our gift to him. And I know you say you drink on special.
UNF.
I know you say you only drink on special occasions, but if it's a special occasion right now, we can all take a little shot.
Shit.
So Hennessy, if you're watching, you know we got to get this sponsorship for Jason.
Are we doing this?
Yeah, I think we should. This is going to be the first of its kind, but no better person to do it with.
Yeah, this is the first time we're drinking alcohol on the Fight Family podcast.
This is true.
Might need Kris to open this too.
Oh, you want me to get it?
Yeah, for me, I've been reaching out to Hennessy over in the messages. So far, I haven't gotten a response back, but I know they've seen me. And I know
you keep making waves. Do what you did your last
performance. I know the time will come.
There will be a couple.
Yeah.
Hey, Kris, are you gonna take one with us or what? No,
Chris,
man.
I'm not a shot,
Kris.
You know, good enough or?
You know, you guys are gifting me Hennessy. I got some gifts for you guys, and I got some gifts for Kris. Not Chris Buckner, Kris the producer.
Yeah, Kris the producer
makes it all happen.
Doesn't have his mic today, so you guys can't hear him. But Jason was nice enough to bring the producer a gift also, which is amazing.
Here in my mystical do-rag.
Oh, no way.
I've brought in 3 do-rags, one for Ryan, Chris Buckner, and Chris Coulter.
No way.
Jason, you're the man.
To pair with their do-rags, I've brought some Black and Milds.
Oh, bro.
Black and Mild sweets with a nice wood tip.
Bro, you're a good man.
So here's your rag. Your rag.
I'm supposed to take my girl out to dinner tonight. I think I might wear the do-rag.
Yeah.
Thanks, bro. Actually, I really appreciate this.
Thank you. So the other thing we should do is Wave Enforcer. Maybe, you know, we can look to them to get you a sponsorship also.
Yeah, you know, especially as a guy who, you know, they're not in right now, but I've had 360 waves. Believe it or not, I'm one of the first white people in the world to ever have 360 waves. All the way around. Believe it or not.
Hilarious.
Believe it or not.
Can we fact check that?
Yeah, how are we fact checking that?
Hood certified. So yeah, believe it or not.
All right.
Here we go.
This is to you, brother.
This one's to Jason.
Big fans of your journey. Let's go. Ooh.
Tastes like candy, sweet like juice. I'm one of the very few people that loves the taste.
Yeah, you are.
I actually had an Armenian brandy the other day. It was god awful. It was god awful.
Dude, Armenians can drink, bro.
if they're drinking that, they are out of their damn mind. They're out of their damn mind. Because it tasted like Hennessy with hand sanitizer.
So is this Hennessy? I know you like Hennessy. Is that like do you drink Hennessy every time you drink? Is that like your choice to drink? Or
yeah, that or like a Corona or Modelo or something. Yeah. But if I'm drinking like any sort of liquor, I'm drinking Hennessy, usually with pineapple juice. If you really want to tame that taste, Hennessy and pineapple juice is so good. I'm telling you,
because I love my pineapple juice with tequila. So I think maybe Hennessy, pineapple juice.
Henny.
Yeah, it's really good, honestly. Because most people drink Henny and Coke, but apparently you're not supposed to mix a dark and a dark. You should mix a light with a dark. So pineapple juice is like a light juice, and
light with a light, dark with a dark. You lost me there, bro.
Yeah, like a dark liquor with a light drink. Okay. Yeah,
got it.
So I'm telling you, you should try it. I guarantee you'll like it.
Cool. I'll have definitely put that on the list.
Like you, I'm just an occasional drinker nowadays. I think I went through my party days in my 20s and 30s, and I think I've just like chilled out a little bit. So it's just kind of like here and there now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like for me, it's like I don't like the feeling of being drunk, and I don't like the feeling the next day.
That's it for me. That's like the number one thing now, especially with a bigger workload and whatnot. Like, okay, I can go out on a Saturday and like all my friends or wherever we're going out, it's like another shot. And like I'm like tipsy. I'm like, if I take 2 or 3 more of these, I'm out of commission until like Tuesday where my brain is actually functioning.
Yeah, if I have like 3 shots, like I'm hammered. Like that's the thing about me is like I am a lightweight too.
No, it sucks about me is like I could drink. No, well, at least in the time I never get sloppy drunk or anything. I'll be messed up. But the hangover for me is just nuts. I can't do it.
Being the bad parent that I am and my wife is, I think we started drinking.
You know how kids how adults get their kids into jiu-jitsu at 13, 14? Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe not jiu-jitsu, but yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I should have done jiu-jitsu instead of drinking games. Because the scary thing, bro, like about Ryan is he can drink. And he is the funnest drunk you're ever going to have. Like, you have so much fun with this guy.
When you're talented at something, you should pursue that.
You know what? No. He'd probably be a better drunk than he would a matchmaker, bro. I don't know.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, that is.
Put my heart and soul into this, man. That's messed up.
But let's talk about making matches. You've tried to make some matches for Jason. What's Jason's future look like? What do we got going as far as that?
Just keeping Jason active, seeing kind of what comes together. There's a fight I do want to make. I know you want this fight.
Yeah, I think it'd be a good entertaining fight.
Well, I think we're gonna try. There's some moving parts to matchmaking, as you guys both know, but I think we're gonna try to make that one. You have any?
Okay, that one. What is that one, you guys? Like
Phineas versus Ferb. Phineas versus Ferb. There's 104 days of summer vacation, and up next comes along just to end it. The Malibu Gangster versus the Moval Mafioso.
Oh, bro.
Axel Conrad. I think it would be a battle of the ages. I feel like I've got a round face. I feel like you've got a tortilla head.
I actually think that'd be a good fight, man. I do think that's when we got to make.
I don't mean to talk shit. I'm not trying to talk shit, but no, I just think that would be a great fight. I missed you at the last fight. Something happened with the scale. It was off. I knew you were on weight, but the scale got messed up. The scale didn't read the right way, and you were just a little over, like what? It was like half a pound or something.
Yeah, half a pound.
No, no. I think me and Axel would be a good fight. He does like to grapple. He has his jiu-jitsu, and then he does have some disciplined striking. But I think that would be a great fight. And I know he wants 3 threes. I would be down for 3 threes, mainly because, like, especially if I want to fight pro, like, I don't want to fight a bunch of 2 twos or 3 twos. So, I think that would be a good fight. I think it would be a battle. Maybe a short battle, maybe a long battle. I don't know. Axel's never been finished. I've only been finished twice out of 4 fights.
Dude, you're hilarious. Well, listen, I love that promo you just cut right there for that fight to happen.
I freaking love you. Well, are you gonna try to make that, or
as I said, there's moving parts, but I've talked to Jason. I've already told you that that's a fight that's definitely on my radar. I want to make.
Yeah,
that's a fight that could get ugly.
I saw what you did there.
Ugg boots, yeah, I like it.
Yeah, no, yeah. Well, If it comes together, it comes together. If not, really, like I'm just trying to stay active, just trying to fight whoever.
Well, I think one thing also, I mean, I love that promo for Axel, and I think I'm gonna try and make that. But I think one thing for you is your last fight was at 160, right?
Yeah.
The other two were at 170. I feel like you'd be perfect for the 155 weight class.
Yeah, especially like my first two fights, I was walking around a little heavier than I am now. Right now, I'm pretty light. Like I'm really like, I did like my last fight I ate before I came and weighed in, and I was 3 pounds under. So for me, it's like 55 really shouldn't be a challenge. Like I'm a little heavier now, maybe like 170. But like 170 fighting at 170, like some of these guys like Jonathan Winland, like, dude, that's a big guy.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a big boy.
Yeah.
Like, it's like you see people like that and you're like, man, maybe I should go down because, that is a distinct size difference. Like,
no, it is.
I saw him and I was like, oh shit. Like, and he weighed in at 180 and he still looked like he had weight to gain back. And I was like, oh fuck. I was like, yeah,
he cut some weight.
Yeah. And then fighting at 170, those are guys there's a lot of guys like that too.
Yeah.
Which I think 155 is that perfect weight class for you.
Especially like, I do have I'm tall and I'm lanky and I have a decently sized, like I have a big enough frame to be big at 55 and small at 70.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really have huge hands. Like I don't have like a wide base. Like I'm a thinner like frame, but I do have like some aspects that make me look bigger than I am. I think a lot of people think I'm a lot bigger, like weight wise than I am, but I'm really light. Like I'm only 170. Like I know guys that are 170 fighting at 45.
Oh yeah.
So for me to go to 55 really isn't like some crazy challenge or anything. So I want to fight at 55. I think I'd do really good there.
So what does your future look like, man? How many more amateur fights you want to do before turning pro, or is that
if
right now?
If I keep progressing the way that I want to, and then keep doing like good and having good performances, then hopefully by the end of the year, as long as I stay active, because I fought twice this year, I want to fight at least 5 times. Maybe 6, as long as it comes together and things work out. Like that's like the goal for me. It's like I'd be down to fight every month. I fought 3 weeks apart.
Yeah,
I fought February 8th and then I fought March 1st.
Yeah.
So for me is like I literally had that fight and I just went back to the gym the next day. I mean, luckily I wasn't like, especially after the Diego fight, like I wasn't beat up. You
didn't take any damage in that fight that I saw.
No, I mean I had a little bruise, but it was like just from one of the exchanges we had. Like I don't even remember getting hit or anything. And then I fought Sevak. My leg was beat up for a couple days. Other than that, I was good. He cut my nose. He just double jabbed me right on the bridge of the nose. It hit me and I stumbled back. And then he was like,
yeah, I saw that. Well, you know what? And this is not even talk shit, but the 15 seconds, however long that fight lasted, he looked really good. Like he came out, feints looked good. He looked like he was seasoned on the feet.
Yeah, no, I knew he's a solid matchup for me. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, dude, this is a guy who's like, he's young and he's 1-0. The way I kind of thought about it was like he's gonna come out hot because he hasn't been tested yet.
Yep.
That was the one thing that I thought. I was like, dude, no one's tested his chin yet. So if I just pop him once, like we'll see how he reacts and how the.
Well, see, and here's the thing about people maybe hating on you for going 0-3 or whatever it is. You got a young kid who's undefeated, 1-0, but undefeated, has his skill and stuff, but he hasn't had that experience or those tough fights yet. And that's where these things come into play. So people that are talking shit about you taking the tough fights and winning a fight and getting caught or breaking your hand in a thing or a close decision, whatever it may be. Now you're fighting a prospect. Well, he is a prospect, but you've had that experience. People say, oh, he's 0-3, but you had that experience and it kind of plays into the fights, right? So I think it's kind of crazy how people talk shit about that. And I hate that, especially with someone like you who you watch, is skilled.
Well, you never know how good a fighter really is until they're tested. Yeah. Right. And who was it? I forgot who we sat down and interviewed. Pargev. Everybody can look good in the gym. Everybody can do this. It's not until they get in that cage and they're tested do you really know what kind of fighter they are. Yeah,
especially like Pargev is honestly like really impressive because he fought Israel. Yeah. And that first fight, like I think Israel was given the nod off damage. Like he definitely had some big throws and stuff, but Israel was like super active, like making sure that he was active in every position. But Pargev did come back and he did definitely win that second fight. Like Israel will agree that he lost that second fight. And then just
want another shot of Henny?
Yeah, no, I think it's the Henny clogged up in my throat. No, like somebody like Pargev, like you could definitely tell like the way they're headed based off the improvements that they made each fight. Especially his English too. Like that dude didn't speak any English the first time. When he fought Israel, he didn't speak no English.
Parker's a sharp guy, right?
Yeah.
He knows what he needs to kind of be successful. He knows he has to be able to market himself. He's
Yeah.
fighting in America. He's gonna, I think he actively really tries to learn and wants to because he knows it's good for his career. So he is a really smart guy.
He's got the perfect like Caucasus region marketing. Where he deep fries the filters and he's got like the sick little videos where it's like I'm like, dude, honestly, like that is the perfect marketing for him.
No, really, you got to give it to Parker.
Yeah.
He's really doing it the right way, right?
Yeah.
He's performing in the cage and then outside the cage, what he's got going on, and just his evolution. But I think you look at, let's talk about Israel Salazar for a minute, though. You look at what Israel went through as a rising star, right?
Yeah.
And now as a pro, he's 3-0 now.
He's 2-0.
2-0.
We're trying to get him fights. It's hard. It's honestly hard to get him fights. There's not a lot of flyweights.
Yep.
But we were eyeing a big matchup for him that was like gonna put him literally like a couple, maybe 1 or 2 more fights after that from honestly maybe going to the Contender Series.
Yeah.
So for Israel, it's like he's putting in that work and he's elevating himself.
Yeah.
And he's already in the top heap with only 2 fights. His first fight, that first guy he fought for his pro debut, Enrique Marte.
That was a big risk.
That
for
dude,
him, I think.
that dude,
Marte's good.
That dude is a monster.
Yes.
His record doesn't say anything about him. That dude is.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. So Enrique Marte. So when we first started up next, he was still an amateur, I believe. Or I was just.
Yeah.
I'm going through Camo. I'm trying to research everyone. So
yeah.
He's one of those guys had the winning record, but maybe like a 7-4 or 6-4, something like that. But he fought all the toughest guys, right?
Yeah.
Cody Davis. There's a bunch of other guys, and they're very, very close fights. So when I saw that was his first pro fight, I'm like, oh, it's a tough pro fight, and he looked freaking good. Israel looked
amazing.
You knew in those fights. So when Israel and Parga fought, you just knew like, okay, both these guys have something.
They're both
going to go somewhere and get somewhere.
Yeah.
So I think it's just about taking those tough fights when they both made each other better, right? And they knew what good looked like and what tough fights are going to be moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah. Flyweight is not that deep.
Yeah. It's just because like how many guys do you know that are 5'3", 5'4",
Yeah.
That the heaviest weight classes is 45 and 55. That's the most. If you look like on Tapology, you look at the UFC, those are the heaviest, most flooded weight classes. Yeah. There's really a lot of 45ers.
Yeah, 130, 135 and 170 are still fine. You're going to get enough fights. Even middleweight, like the light heavyweight, and the flyweight there's just not that big of a pool. Yeah,
like especially like heavyweight, you could literally win like 3. Like Sean Sharaf, he fought for Up Next.
Yeah.
Is he 3-0 and he went to the UFC.
Yeah.
And like that fight against Tafa, like he did look good. He just gassed out, but I think it's just a short notice thing. But like at heavyweight in the UFC, there's only 30 heavyweights in the UFC.
Yeah. Well, that's why too, like you gotta, especially when you're sort of at that level, you've got to stay ready 24/7 because you never know when you're going to get that call from the big show. Like I believe we have a few guys fighting for us now, some of our champs that are very close to getting the call. They could get the call at any minute. Gianni Vasquez, you look at Gianni's going to get that call. I know Romero, just lost, but I think he comes back. He gets another win. He's going to get the call. Robles, current champ.
Yeah.
Phone call away. Albert Morales.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. There's so many guys that are just
speaking about the UFC, can we talk about something? I mean, Taco, I know this podcast is going to air in like a week or two, but Taco's fighting.
Yeah, he's fighting today.
Yeah, he's fighting today
in London.
And it's so cool. Like when a former UNF champ or UNF champ alumni is going there, someone who is actually built from the ground up with us is fighting.
Yeah, but you also look at, Javier Garcia just fought for the title at Cage Warriors last night.
It was an interesting end.
Listen,
you watched the fight?
Yeah, I watched it.
Listen, I thought the guy was winning, but I thought Javi was taking his heart. You know what I mean? The guy didn't want to be in there, and I really think Javi would have fucking
I don't think the headbutts caused a concussion.
Bro, was that one punch even a headbutt? It looked like it was a punch.
Well, he punched first and then the head, but it didn't look bad. But I mean, you never know. But
Javi, I think, took that dude's soul.
No, I don't think he didn't want to continue anymore.
Yeah, and then it's funny because have you guys ever heard of the MMA Guru?
Yeah.
So I was watching the MMA Guru and he's doing his predictions. And he did his predictions for Jay Herbert versus Taco, and that is a good matchup for Chris Padilla. The odds are even on that. Jay Herbert is a big name. He's a big name in the UK. He fought Ilia Topuria. That's set up for if Taco wins, that's a push.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a push into the top 15.
Yeah, I think like a top 20 opponent after that.
Well, that's what Ryan said. Ryan says if he has another good performance, he thinks he's possibly in the top 15.
But the MMA Guru, he's like going over his predictions. He's like, You know, man, people forget, man. You know, I've slept too much on Taco Padilla, and he's proved me wrong both times. You know, I looked through his record, UNF champ, and I was like, actually,
we got the shout out.
Yeah, I was like, I actually fight there. Actually fight there.
Yeah, actually fight there. Just got viral knockout the last event. Did you check it out?
But it also goes to show how, and I think you kind of hit on it earlier on, how somebody can focus, sort of realign and improve.
Yeah.
Right? Because Taco, when he first started fighting with us, he looked good. Didn't look that great, but man, he just came out and got this realignment, this refocus. He's really looked unstoppable.
No, he really has. And there's just something about how focused he is and how determined he is. And he always talks about, when in his interviews or whatever it is, like, he's always collecting data. So whether he won a fight, lost a fight because he did something he shouldn't have, you could tell he's really learning from his whole experience. And
well, you know where he gets that, right? If you're watching the fight last night, Chad George is screaming out the hobby, data, this is data, this is data, use the data.
Yeah. I think he's somebody who is like, hey, like, you know, like, how old is he? Like 28, 29?
29, which actually, yeah.
And
he looks a little older than that.
Yeah, I remember we were on a podcast, we thought he was 32. I'm like, no, I think he's 29.
I did.
And he went pro like pretty young.
Yeah.
So for him, it's like, you know, you might look at his record and you might be like, well, you know, he lost to this guy. Like, how do you lose? Like, why do you lose to this guy? You know? But really, it's like he was learning early. Most people nowadays aren't going pro until they're 25, 26. Yeah. You know, there's a couple of these guys who go pro at 19, 20, 21. But those are more so people who are...
Yeah, but you got to look at Taco's story too. What a success story.
Yeah.
No matter what he does now in the UFC, like, let's hope he gets that fucking belt, right? But to come where he's come from, to make it to where he's at today, what an impressive journey.
Yeah, it's like it's interesting because LA honestly has like a wealth of talent for fighters. SoCal has a wealth of talent for fighters. But like, if you think about it, there's not a ton in the UFC. You think there would be more.
Brian Ortega's one name that pops in mind.
Yeah. I mean, CMMA has some guys, Melchik. I mean, unfortunately, he just lost to John Silva. But, you know, like Edmund Shabazian was out of Glendale.
Yeah.
You know, there is some UFC guys, but you think there would be more. And you think there would be like a...
So you're hitting on something that I think we need to talk about. If you look at, and there's a reason we don't call quote unquote amateurs, we call them rising stars.
Yeah.
Look at the new crop of people coming out. Israel Salazar, Desmond Alvarado, Pargev. Who else can you name that's likely going to make it? Rosario Romero.
Yeah, definitely.
There's so many guys that are now going to be making...
Jason Jones.
But, you know, he's not making his pro jump yet.
Yeah, he will be in like 6 to 8 months.
Okay, but I'm talking guys that are now like, we're rising stars that are now going
the talent pool is nuts. I mean, Hamza just took it out in his last fight.
Bro,
but
you cannot...
He has a very bright future. You know, there's a bunch of guys. I mean, even... Why am I
crickets? This is crickets.
I mean,
that's that Henny that got to Ryan.
Yeah, for real. I honestly felt it right away.
I think it's because
I
was like, oh, too much.
It's only like 10 a.m. in the morning, and we're taking shots of Henny.
Yeah, no, I mean, even Stone Lavelle looked really good his last fight.
Yeah.
Like,
he really did. I mean, it's just really impressive. And what kind of like gets me, and I don't know if you felt it, but it like gets me all excited. Like, all these guys are coming up next.
Yeah.
And now making their pro debuts. Like, what does that scene now look like in a year or two from now?
Yeah, definitely. It's like, I think the key thing really is like staying active. And then like some of these guys are super talented, and like somebody like Hamza, like obviously, you know, he did just lose, but he's a guy who's always chasing the finish.
Yeah.
And, you know, I heard he was up in that fight. I didn't see it.
I do believe he was winning that fight.
Yeah. I mean, and he fought a guy who is like a known striker, who has like a decorated Muay Thai background, who comes from a good gym, classic fight team.
Oh yeah.
So like, and the way he got rocked was like kind of interesting. He kind of got shot in and kind of caught a kick. It was just like
a kick that turned into a knee to the
it's like a ghost kick. Like it was
well, that goes to show like everything hinges on one moment in time for you guys that are brave enough to get in that fucking cage.
Yeah, it's like I do watch a lot of like fight podcasts where it's like guys
who watch the Fight Family podcast.
I actually have watched every single episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're the man.
Just want to make sure. Thank you for your support.
Yeah. I know I was listening to the Matador coach Marcos yesterday, and I thought it was going to be filmed after I fought Diego, but it was before I fought Diego. So I was like, no, but it's like I watch a lot of like UFC guys and like champions. I like to pick apart their mindset and stuff, and it's like what they say, and it's like the one thing they say is like, can you focus for 15 minutes? what separates a champion from a non-champion is, can you focus in the cage and be super dialed for 25 minutes?
So go back to Taco.
That's him.
Yeah, that's him now. Like that guy has just looked so dialed in all his fights.
Yeah.
In the UFC. Like,
yeah,
so
especially like he fought that Rongju guy. That Rongju guy is like 25-2. And he just beat Cody Steele.
That's what
Cody Steele is a monster.
That one aged great for Taco after that.
Yeah.
Well, Taco, you could tell he's actually really focused and dialed in.
Another level.
He's really dialed in, and I think he's elite everywhere, but like I don't think he's a master in any specific martial arts. But putting it all together, he's a master at that. You know, with the being focused, seeing everything, punch, kick, striking, grappling, mixing it all together. And I don't think there's many guys that could mix it all together like Taco can. You know,
well, I think Jason hit it on earth. It's mindset. Like, Taco just looks so dialed in. His mindset, like if you looked at his performance in the UFC, no matter if he's taking shots from the other dude, it's very clear he's still very focused and very strategic.
Yeah, it's funny, dude, that Rongju fight, like that was such like I remember watching that, because obviously if anybody from a promotion I fight for goes to the UFC, you know, no matter what gym or where they're from, I'm going to watch, and I'm going to I obviously want them to win, you know? Yeah. And I remember watching that, and he hit him with that elbow. He's like, eye poke. And I was like, oh, this is going viral. This is going viral. Yeah. Dude, that was vicious.
Yeah, Taco yells, elbow, and then comes just running at him, another elbow.
That's one of those fights that's like, I don't like necessarily watching like Apex cards, but that's one of those fights where it's like that moment was good that it was in the Apex. Yeah. Because he's like, elbow, like you just hear it all, and you just hear that split. But I was like, damn, dude, that was vicious. Especially against, and the way Rongju got into the UFC, he got into the UFC, lost 2 fights, went undefeated after, and had to do road to UFC. So he had to win basically 3 UFC fights to fight Taco. So it's like that really was a good win. Yeah. That's a great win.
Yeah, no, this one, he's going to get the win today. Yeah. And this could be a good one too. And then
honestly, I think that's a good matchup for him.
Yeah, I do too.
You know, usually if they send you into the UK to fight somebody, like they're maybe trying to set you up to lose, but like, I don't know. I think they see something, and they gave him a good matchup that's, you know, it could go either way, but I think I think the way that Jai Herbert fights compared to the way he fights, like he's gritty enough and he'll push the pace enough to where he can take that fight.
Yeah, I think the first round will be probably the most dangerous round for Taco. Yeah. Has to put some grappling on him, mixing the strikes and everything, but I could see like a 3rd round rear naked choke or 3rd round submission. Yeah. Or winning 29-28 or even 30-27, but I think that first round is going to be really interesting. But it's just awesome to see the UNF guys get up there.
Let's do it. Let's give the prediction. What's the prediction for Taco's fight tonight?
I just gave mine.
No, I want the prediction.
Third round
on the record. I'm gonna get
predictions. 3rd round submission.
Say round 2 TKO.
Round 3 TKO.
All right.
There we go. Yeah, I was looking at it because I'm very like deep into the looking in like online and looking at fight odds and looking at predictions, and
this guy's really good with all that shit too, bro.
I'm like ridiculous of it. Like I'm like looking at like Nebraska, like regional, like amateur fights.
I'm not that bad.
I'm like, well, this guy's 3-2 and he got an armbar in 36 seconds in his last fight. And I looked at this other guy's Instagram, and you know, he's more of a Taekwondo guy, and I don't think that's gonna fare well into the draft.
we got to start Jason's his own YouTube channel.
Yeah, man, we got to get Jason
sponsored by Fight Family Podcast. You know, maybe he could be our sports betting guy that could talk about odds and what bets he likes. And
I do want to start my own like YouTube, or maybe like an Instagram
dude, you're such a person.
Any sort of long form content.
Hilarious.
I have an idea for my next fight, the UNF embedded.
Yeah.
Where like I'm just like following myself around, but it's just like it's just ridiculous. Well, like it's me rolling out of bed at 3 p.m. drinking Hennessy and being like,
oh, that would be great, Chris. Can we put that together, bro? Are you in for this or what, bro? Yeah, Coulter's in, bro.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Well, look, there's another thing that we want to do. Listen, we've just been so busy doing some other stuff, but we want to kind of do like a sort of a reality show.
I heard you talk about that.
We want to do that. I mean, you definitely have to be one of the people that we take up to the ranch. And
dude, him and Axel together for 4 days.
Oh my God. Wow, that'd be great. There would be so many viral moments from that.
Me and Axel just ended up becoming best friends.
You know, I mean, there's so many ways you could do this. You could just bring up, 15 random athletes, or you could bring up opponents. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it could be so cool what we could do.
That would be sick. And he's talking about like a zip line, or like doing like a like racing each other.
Well, dude, we got a little motorcycle track we could do. We got a shooting range. We got some.
You put a white boy with some white boy activities, he's coming in first place every time. You could strap a backpack, say there's a parachute in it. I'm jumping off a cliff. I'm not even checking. It's just the way I'm coming. If you put me on that show, man, I'm winning. Without a doubt, I'm winning.
Bro, we have the opportunity, and I think we definitely like what's so fortunate about Up Next. We're blessed to work with so many great, talented, entertaining people. I mean, it would be amazing. We could do it. We just got to get our shit together and make it happen.
Yes, definitely just got to get our shit together. But you will be invited. You'll be the first one.
Yeah, for sure. Who else should we invite to the ranch? Axel's coming.
Yeah, me, Axel, Edgar.
Edgar is another entertaining.
I fucking love Edgar, honestly.
Oh my gosh.
That show would literally be like the Ultimate Fighter fucking the season with Nate Diaz. I'd be like, me or Axel could be Nate Diaz. I'll let him have Nate Diaz. Edgar would be like Manny Gambirian. It'd be sick, dude. No, that would actually be good.
We gotta have Danny Labastida there.
Yeah, Danny definitely has to be there.
Me, Danny, Axel, Edgar.
Yeah, who else has good not everyone has good personalities, whatever. But who else do you think is like one of those big personalities with Up Next?
I'm trying to think who's silly. I like silly. I don't want somebody.
I like Brendan Farnsworth. I think he's entertaining too. Yeah,
I think he'd be good too. He's like
he would like chill everyone out a little bit, though, you know. But you need one of those.
Yeah, but he's got his little dance moves that he does, you know.
Yeah, he's chill with some flair.
Yeah,
we gotta get the bank over there.
Yeah, the bank
for sure.
Fucking
Steven
my
Chavez.
boy, bro. My boy. Yeah, we'll get.
I really
Steven
thought you were gonna come. I know Stay Down's like one of your sponsors. I thought you were gonna come in a shirt that said "Free the Bank."
Dude, I literally. What's crazy is I was gonna bring you one and I was gonna give it to you and I left it on my bed.
I'm good for it. Bring it to me and I'll pay you.
Yeah,
I definitely support the bank. That's all right, man. Got to support the cause.
No, I was driving here and I was like, oh damn, because I was gonna bring the bag and then I was gonna bring that shirt.
You're in the bank's territory. He lives out here in the valley.
I know. It's funny. I was driving. I looked over the freeway and I saw the first Trader Joe's or whatever the Trader Joe's is, and then I was like, I remember that from one of the bank stories. It's either that.
He's really interesting, bro. Like I'll wake up in the morning and I'll watch his stories, like him like gallivanting around LA on the metro.
I love when I look at my phone though. Like I have a text from him. I'm like, okay, what's this gonna be?
Bro, he'll DM me out of the blue like, "What you doing?" Like it's so funny.
I'll just respond to my if it's a picture of me, he'll respond to my story, be like, "Baby daddy," and I'm like, I don't know.
He loves you though. He loves that
that's
you
my
support
boy. That's
him.
my boy.
Yeah.
You know, I try and I do whatever I can to like talk to him, help him out, look out for him. You know, especially like sometimes he's pretty bored, so I'll chop it up with him. I would hang out with him if I was out here, but
bro, I don't think
it's a drive.
Yeah, but I think that guy is what do you call him? Like a nomad, like a wanderer. Like
he's a vagabond.
Just wants an explorer.
Yeah.
He just always wants that fucking adventure. Stability, I don't think is in his.
Yeah, I think he just wants to like live his life how he wants to live his life, and I fuck with that heavily.
Yeah, I could never do it. I really envy that freedom that he can have just to walk up and talk to just anybody. I could never do that, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a one of a kind of guy for sure.
Definitely.
This is true.
Definitely.
I feel like especially like my internet personality, like I could come across maybe that way, but I feel like I'm pretty reserved like in my personal life and my private life. I like to have fun and stuff and I like to be silly and crazy, but I'm definitely not as adventurous as the bank.
There's only one bank, bro. No matter how hard we try on anything, there's only one bank. But he's freaking.
Yeah, he's going to be on the card, right? May 31st. Yeah, bro, we have a banger of a card, May 31st. Banger of a card.
Yeah, they're saying I'm going to be the main event.
That's right.
I talked to Ryan. And he said over the pro fights.
You're pushing Albert Morales and Johnny Robles.
You really want that? Because they asked for some Emmys to be over the pro fights. If you'd like, we could do it.
Ooh, nah.
Yeah, Jason. If you just mentioned
I like to fight early. I don't want to be on the post limbs, dude. I don't.
Bro, it is kind of crazy when those fights go forever to like 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. It's just such a long night.
Fighting early is sick. Like I don't mind being like later in the card, but like back to back, I fought early. Third fight, both back to back cards. By the time I finished my last fight, it was 8 o'clock. I was already on the way home, and I was like, nice. Yeah. I went to my friend's bar, and then we just drank for a little bit, and then I went home and went to bed, and it was awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was good. Because sometimes, you fight, or you have a friend that fights, and they don't fight till fucking 11:30. You're like, oh.
Yeah, it makes for a freaking long night.
Yeah, it does. I mean, like the last card, though, like every fight was pretty good, though.
Well, that last card... That was nuts. That was our biggest event ever. And I don't know how, like I told George and Ryan, I'm like, there's no way they're going to top the last card.
Yeah.
If you see what's shaping up for May 31st, they're likely.
Why don't you tell them the main event?
No, why don't you tell them?
Why don't you tell them? I'll tell them.
Go
You
ahead.
want to tell them?
No, you
Should I
tell them.
Okay, I'll tell them. Albert Morales versus Johnny Robles.
Ooh.
So Albert Morales
Champ
is
versus champ.
yeah, but main training partners.
your brother's loss.
There you go. Nice
Damn.
storyline.
Is he going down or is he who's going?
They're fighting at
135.
135, but both belts are going to be on the line. So it's like a winner takes all type of thing because they both want to fight at both weight classes.
But what a storyline. You know, Johnny's trying to get to the UFC. Albert's trying to get back. Albert's avenging the bully's loss. There's such a storyline there.
Johnny Robles like, I'll take the bigger brother. Let's go. You know, like, it's really cool.
Yeah, that actually is that's a sick storyline. You know, that's like what builds like crazy like memories, especially like you know, it's like if you're not if Up Next isn't the UFC, so it's like, how are we going to stand out? How is the promotion going to stand out? And just like through stuff like that, you know, and it's like, it's the promotion and it's the fighters, you know? So it's like when you build a roster of people who are down to do stuff like that, that's how you really create like a memorable moments. Yeah,
bro. I mean, I'm not trying to shit on other promotions, but I don't think anybody's putting on,
I mean, there's
especially on the regional scene, cards like
there's some great fighters on another regional promotion show tonight, but what storylines, what do you hear? What hype are people trying to build or do? Like, you know, I think Up Next is trying to bring something different.
Well, I think we're just deeper. You know, there's a lot more. I mean, the other fight that we've got on the card is Ryan Lilly versus Tony Cortez. Yeah, look at your face right now.
Oh shit.
Tony Cortez versus Ryan Lilly.
That is
bro, that's a sick fight.
That actually is a sick fight.
No, think about it. Prospect Tony Cortez, undefeated pro, right? I don't think he's ever been defeated, right?
No, 13-0, Emmy and pro.
Facing Ryan Lilly, veteran of the sport, been in Bellator, UNF. Like, I mean, it's just.
That actually is a fucking, that's the last fight that I thought I would hear.
Yeah,
that's actually,
think about that.
I fuck with Tony Cortez. I just like, have you seen some of his interviews? Like he fought that guy Quest Truxton.
Yeah.
And he's like in his face with a ski mask on. He's like, I would watch you sleep if I could, bro. I'd watch you sleep if I could. And like, you can't make that up.
No, that comes with him, bro.
Yeah.
Like, definitely. Well, no, I'm really excited that he's fighting with us because he truly is one of those top prospects that is going to be getting that call soon too if he keeps winning. But it's interesting because Ryan Lilly, I mean, you know, he's later in his career now, but he's never faced someone who's fought the caliber of opponents that Ryan Lilly has. Yep. Along with Ryan Lilly's beat one of his teammates, Andre Ewell, who's been in the UFC and you know, has some tough, really good wins and some questionable losses, but he's not going to be just
he beat Henan Barao.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
One of the greatest 135ers of all time. You know, a lot of people don't recognize Henan.
Really excited for that fight.
Yeah, that is a really sick fight.
Yeah, who else we got on the card that we should share with Jason?
I was looking on Camo.
Yeah, I was looking on Camo.
Oh yeah, Fedia Chobanian versus Brandon Farts, which is going to be a really good fight.
That's a really good matchup too.
Yeah,
there really is some. I was looking on Camo. There's some sick matchups.
Yeah,
thank you. Appreciate that.
I honestly do like the matchmaking at Up Next because I feel like it creates good fights and the matchmaking is usually like fair.
I honestly try my best. I mean, you know, I think I try to do a way better job than most other promotions when it comes to. I like fair matchmaking. I think the fans also deserve it, and it's great for the show when some of the first rising stars fights are close, good fights to get the energy going. You know, and that's what Up Next is all about. We're not. We're the Up Next fighting.
Look, I think it's also about giving the fighters a platform that they deserve. Right?
Yeah.
And what I mean by that too, it's like, okay, we're getting the exposure, but fairly matched fights that are going to help them be better athletes and better fighters, you know?
Yeah, it's like the main thing that I really enjoy about Up Next is like, dude, a lot of people like, I ran into this guy I know from high school at the gas station the other day. He goes, "You still live out here?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "You're rich off fighting now." And I was like,
little does he know.
I was like, yeah, actually, no, I'm not. I was like, but the way that my social media is presented now, just based off like collaborations with Up Next and like, you know, you win your fight and within 10 minutes, Jeremy has a reel up and you're like, oh shit, like, dude.
Bro, sorry, but Jeremy's the GOAT, bro. Like, if you really look at our social media, like, again, I'm not just trying to like, oh, Up Next, but it's amazing. Our social looks great. It's really because of Jeremy, Sherelle, Miriam, the people that work so hard on that social. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, it's funny too, because like you really have seen the production value go up a lot. I was watching some old Up Next the other day on YouTube.
Oh, it makes you cringe sometimes though, bro.
Dude, Todd doesn't even sound the same. The mic
what about
quality,
the lights on the cage now and shit? You like that?
Yeah.
We've evolved.
Before it felt like it didn't feel like, it just felt like normal.
Yeah.
But now when you watch Up Next, it's like, dude, it's like, it feels elevated, you know?
Yeah.
Cause like, LFA was at the Commerce Casino and they didn't even have the same level of like camera production, and like you guys got the big swing camera, like all that stuff. It looks sick. And like obviously like Steve Bash has put on like some big boxing events too.
Bash is the man. Bro.
Yeah.
Like honestly, that all that production and all that is really from Steve. The guy has such a vision for doing this. And really, if you really look at it too, you know, we've only been around for 3 years, bro.
Yeah,
so it's not like we have some big content deal with UFC Fight Pass or, you know, anybody else. So we're, you know, self-funded, and Steve just does a great job putting that together. But it feels like you're at a much bigger show.
Yeah, no, Steve's a man when it comes to the production.
Dude, Steve drives me nuts though, bro. But he is truly the GOAT. I mean, again, if you look at the lights on the cage and just everything else, it's amazing.
Yeah, when I tell people like, hey, like I have a fight coming up, like if you're interested in tickets, like, you know, it might be a little bit of a drive, or it might be like more costly than maybe you thought it would be. I'm like, but you're going to an experience. Like, it's especially like the Commerce is my favorite venue. The Burbank one was sick too, but the Commerce, like you really feel like you're in like an arena almost.
Yeah,
you got that big giant tent, and then you're fighting, and then like there's so many people in there. You're at a casino. Like when you're walking in from the parking lot, if the fight's already starting, you're hearing the roars from the crowd. I was leaving my fight. I was like, oh, something must be happening. Literally, I was across the parking lot and I'm hearing like, oh, it's loud.
Yeah, we blow that place up. We have the biggest gate.
Yeah.
I don't think people also sort of realize, like you could talk, and LFA is great and all these other shows are great, but Up Next has the biggest gate, second only to the UFC.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Yeah.
It's actually a pretty cool thing that we've got such a strong fan base.
Yeah, that is crazy. And it's crazy is the UFC, like their pay-per-view sales are down right now, but it's a little bit, it has to do with like, you know, maybe they're switching production like from maybe to Netflix is what's probably going to happen.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what's happening.
But TKO, their parent company, focuses on gate more than they focus on pay-per-views. And I think that might be a reason why it's gone down. You know, the pay-per-views are expensive too. It takes 5 seconds to illegally stream a fight.
I know nothing about that, Jason.
Yeah.
You're going to get Dana White chasing you. He hates the pirates.
I would never do that. I always go to an authorized vendor to watch my fights. But no, it's like, if you think about it, like that's one of the UFC's biggest focuses is gate.
Yeah.
Because if you listen to any post-fight press conference, Dana White's not like, hey, the metrics on this are crazy. It's more like, hey, we broke the gate record here. We broke the gate record here. We broke the gate record here.
Yep.
So we get 2,000 plus at Commerce, right? That's kind of where we're at. But man, just making the jump to what, you know, the UFC and Dana does, what, like venues of what, 20,000 people?
20,000 people. I mean, gate like $10 million and up. Like
the only like regional thing I've been to that was like pretty big was back in like a long time ago. I went to King of the Cage at the Toyota Arena in Ontario.
Yeah.
And that was big, but
that's
it was like
that's a nice arena.
That is a nice arena.
Yeah.
And they used to do a Masters for wrestling there too.
We're looking, I mean, I think with Commerce, we're trying to get things figured out, but I mean, we're in this weird growth stage, right? Because we're selling Commerce out, but the next jump up is venues with like 8,000 people, 10,000.
Yeah, where you're like, ooh.
Yeah, so we're kind of in that weird in between space.
Yeah, and it's like to do like those like events like that, like those Toyota arenas and stuff like that. Like, if it fails, you know, like you're kind of in a rough spot.
Oh, bro, it's people just think it's so easy, but running a promotion and keeping it afloat, it's not easy. Again, as I told you, you know, we're self-funded. Our family funds this thing. So
yeah, if you look at the PFL, the PFL is $500 million in debt. The PFL cannot sell more than 5,000 tickets to a show.
Isn't that blows my mind? Give us that money. What Up Next could do with those millions of dollars?
Honestly, no.
Yeah.
No, really, because I think the cool thing is, and what makes us different too, is like everybody that's part of the Up Next family, like they're part of a family, like to build this thing, they're all invested. I think that's, again, what makes us a little different than most other people. We're not just, again, I always say this, we're not just putting on shows, we're building a brand.
Yeah, know? that's like because for me, it's like, as far as like how I look at fighting and stuff, I'm like, how can I build not only like just going out there and fighting, but how can I build off of myself?
Yep.
And it's like, you know, like the Hawk, at first I was like, whatever about the Hawk name, but it's like, all right, if I could use that to leverage my name, if I can create interesting merchandise based off that, like the first shirt, the Hawk style shirt I have, that's not even like what I feel like close to even like some of the designs I have that I feel like a lot of people would actually wear regardless of whether or not they watch me fight or not. Sure, like you look at Extreme Couture, especially the Y2K stuff's back in fashion right now. That's like Randy Couture's brand in the Extreme Couture gym. it's two completely different things, but like that whole brand was built like off that like tap out era, Affliction era.
Yeah.
Like Affliction tried to start a promotion. I mean, they only had one event, but like being able to build a brand and being able to like create identity off more than just one thing is like huge.
Yeah.
And it's like up next is like there's people that go to the events that I'm sure aren't even really like fight fans. They just know it's an experience.
It's been really cool to see our evolution and do the analytics of who's coming now and this and that. Like it's actually really cool. I think we're doing a lot of good things. I think we have a lot of room for improvement, to be honest, because once you get fat, dumb, and happy and you don't improve, you become extinct, right?
Yeah, well, look at UFC champions that get their belt and then they relax and they lose that hunger because they got that goal and that wasn't their end goal, and then they lose the next.
This is what I tell this guy every day. He's got to stay hungry. You got to fight to be on top. You can't just fucking, sit there. You got to fight for your position. So
yeah, it's like Rome wasn't built in a day, but it fell in a day.
Yeah, 100%. Was there anything else that we should have covered that we haven't? Stay Down is one of your sponsors.
Yeah, my boy Justin from Stay Down.
Shout out to Justin.
Justin.
Little known story about Justin. I'll shout him out. Like Stay Down really was more so like his son got into a fight at school, and then he finishes his fight and he's like, "Stay down," and that's how the brand started. But before this brand was a thing, he owned a local pizza spot, and a landlord ended up purchasing the property, and they evicted him. So for him, it's a story about hustle, really, like to get this to where he can live off doing merchandise. And he's branched out. At first, it was like, hey, like, let's maybe make this a brand. And it is the brand, but then it's also like he does team orders for schools. He does uniforms, like he does merchandise. He just did all the new gym sets for OG. So for him, he's just like, he's really hustling and he's making it into something. So it's really cool. It's cool that like, he's a family man. He has 3 kids. So for him, it's like, all right, I have to do this. So it's
There's no bigger driving force than family, bro.
Yeah,
kids.
for real. And he's got his kid working with him now, like going out doing sales and getting clients and stuff. So, and he's always looked out for me and my friends and our team and our gym. He's a purple belt with us. So, he's somebody that I'll always have as a sponsor, no matter what.
And what about the Hawk Style t-shirts? Are those available for sale still? Or
the Hawk Style
that?
t-shirts are still available on staydowncustoms.com. We're reworking the website. It's going to be a lot easier to navigate. But if you go in there and just type in Hawk in the search bar, I'll pop up. And if you use code HAWK, you get a 10% discount.
Oh, Jason, really trying to get to influencer over here.
I love it, bro. You're learning from Parga, bro. No,
yeah. If you use code HAWK, you get a 10% discount.
Oh my God.
Bro, this has been great.
Yeah, honestly, probably one of my favorite episodes we've done.
Sitting down with you is just fucking amazing. We got to figure out a way to like implement you into the Up Next team, like on commentary, on
you know what we should do,
fight night shows or just something.
How about this? How about he comes as a guest again?
Yeah.
For the recap podcast for the next year.
Yeah, you want to do that?
Yeah, I'd be down.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll probably we'll get with Chris, but we'll probably do it like the show's May 31st. So probably the first or the second. We usually do it, film it a couple days after the show.
We all have to wear our do-rags for that episode.
Yeah.
Bro, I don't think I could pull off the do-rag like
that's the whole point, bro. That's the whole point.
Oh, you guys can rock that shit. I just don't have that swag to me.
It's not really about swag. It's more about letting the creativity flow through the tail of your do-rag.
And let's end it on that.
Yeah. That's it. Thank you, brother.
Jason Jones, the man.
Thank you.
The Hawk.